Good afternoon, it's Carolyn here from Waiheke Island down under in New Zealand. This is St Mary's Thistle, which is a traditional medicinal plant, and this video is going to be about it. I'll follow a structure where I talk about the historic use of this plant, and then I'll move to tell you a bit about the plant, and then I'll discuss anything that I think is relevant that I haven't mentioned, and then I'll point you in the direction of where you can go to get more information. Ow, it's so sharp. So I'll just start at the beginning. This is St Mary's Thistle. It has other common names: milk thistle, variegated thistle. Its botanical name, so its global name, is Silybum marianum, and I've heard people call it Silybum. I don't think that is how it's supposed to be said. And in the seed of this plant, it has special active ingredients. The secret sauce, you could say, is in the seeds, and the combination of ingredients in that seed is referred to as silymarin. And this has a history dating back at least 2,000 years. So when I say it's got a history of medicinal use, I'm not making it up. So we've got written evidence that this plant was used, written evidence from Greek physicians that this plant was in use. And fast forward to 2021 on Waiheke Island, you can buy this at the pharmacy in the natural health food area. Or natural health area. It will be in there with the name St Mary's Thistle, and that product, the ingredients in that, are imported from overseas, but that will become clear why that is as I go on in this video. It's quite windy here, so I'm just going to try and hide my mic a bit. So yeah, it's got this extended history. So what was it traditionally used for? It was used for primarily to help the liver recover from damage by viruses. So I'll give you some examples of that. Hepatitis, that's a virus. So this was used to help the liver recover following that. Also glandular fever, that's a virus. So it's used to help the liver recover from that. What else? Spanish flu, that's a virus. So it was helped to the liver to recover from that. It's quite interesting, isn't it, that it's timely that we're in the grasp of another virus, and here's this plant that I'm telling you about. So that's its, and if you go and buy it today in a capsule form, it will say something like a liver tonic may help repair liver damage, something along those lines. So that's its traditional use. So what do you need to know about this plant if you are going to think about maybe collecting yourself some of these seeds to use? This plant is a biennial, so that has 2 stages of growth. I'm just moving out of the wind. 2 stages of growth. So the first stage is a big rosette like this, where it forms all the leaf growth and root structure, and then it will decide whether or not it should throw up a very large flower. This one is quite a big rosette, so so we're on the cusp of autumn and spring. Instead of waiting until, so this is a 2-stage part, instead of waiting till spring, it's decided that the temperature is suitable. It's going to throw up this flower and then seed, but it's actually very short. So if it flowers in winter or close to winter, it will produce this very, very short flower because it doesn't want to risk coming up high and then getting a frost. So this is a pretty magnificent example, and it's coming into flower right now. So, but it is a biennial, so you would expect it to have that 2-stage system where this may have stayed like it is until winter was over, and then you wouldn't be able to collect that seed from it until it was spring or summer. And once this has seeded, that's it, it's over, it's dead. So it's relying on these seeds to be dispersed around it to carry it on for the next generation. Another characteristic of this plant is it's easy to identify. One, it's a thistle, which most people know, but it has this really unusual variegation in the leaves. So that's unusual even for any plant. This is the only thistle I know that has this. how many plants do you know with a variegation like this? So if you look closely, you'll see that it runs the white variation, which is 2 colour tones, so white and green in this case. It runs through the veins, so it's a veinal variation, and it looks kind of like someone's poured milk over the top of this plant. So that's where it gets its common name from, milk thistle. And the St. Mary's part ties in with that, because this is, told to be the breast milk of Mary that's in this plant. So you can see just by the common names that this plant has been carried through the years with a significant reputation just attached to that name. And so that gives you an idea of when you could collect it, and how to identify it. It's very, very prickly. And so anything that you need to know about it here in New Zealand, there's one real critical thing you need to know, and that is it's on the National Plant Accord list. So that means it's that's the list that's created by the overarching legal system that controls the propagation or the growing of plants. So it's on that list. That means that I can't grow this and sell this to you, and that's why the plants at your pharmacy or health food shop, the ingredients are imported from overseas, because you can't legally grow this here. And you might be thinking, well, why is it on that list? It's on that list because it's capable of getting out of control, but they think we can control it if we work now and work fast. This has been in the country for 100 years. Just in case you think this is something, a new plant, this has been here for 100 years. This was here during the Spanish flu, and there's written evidence that it was here. So it's something that we're trying to control through the country so it doesn't spread, and it can be a problem in pasture. So when something is a problem in pasture, generally people are going to be looking at ways to get rid of it. So if this is in your pasture, say you have a very dry year, your grass has died down, this could take over. And a second reason that people wouldn't want this in their pasture, so in their grazing areas, is that it has a toxicity in the leaves to ruminant animals. So these are your sheep, etc. It's unlikely a sheep would come in here and go straight for this. One, it's super prickly, it's not going to be preferred food, but if they are super hungry, then yeah, maybe they've got no choice, and this would not be good for them. So that's why it's on that list. Another reason why it's a problem is because it has a long dormant time for its seed. So if you look around here, there's lots of ground here. How long do you think the seeds from this could stay sleeping under that ground? We know it's somewhere around, we know it can be 30 years, so it can be a long time. So this can be missing. I've never seen this on Waiheke before, but I know it's likely to have been here, but dormant. So here it is now. What else do you need to know about it? I think those are really what you need to know. It does have that toxicity to ruminant animals, and it is on our National Plant Accord list. That doesn't mean that I can't, if this was growing on your property, you can't take those seeds out and make yourself up a concoction out of them if you think you've got a liver that would benefit from that. But it does mean I can't collect these and sell these in New Zealand. And so what I'll do now is just point you in the direction. If you want to know any more about this plant, I'll put a link into Richard Whelan's website. He's a botanical, what would you call him? He's called a medical herbalist. So it's his job that's his job. And he's got a website that has a lot of detail about medicinal herbs, and this is one of them. And the beauty of his website is that if you scroll through the information, and I'll link it in below, he puts in a link to a lot of scientific research on this plant. So dating back, thousands of years, but more modern research, so that I'm talking randomized controlled clinical trials, so that you can read through those. And these are your modern weapon, sort of to defend your use of these plants. So don't write them off, read them and know them. So I think that's enough information for you to go forward if you want to learn more about this plant. I collected seeds off one last year, and I'll probably come back and see this one when it's in seed, or another one in case this has been removed, because this is on the watch list for shouldn't be anywhere that it's not allowed. It's not allowed to be, and that's where it is right now. So yeah, so I'll link that in. I'll also link in the National Accord list, so you can see this plant on there. That list is quite hard to find, and hopefully this has given you enough information. And I'll just finish by reminding you that this plant isn't called Silybum, and here in New Zealand its common name is St Mary's thistle.